Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac Advert Plus 2 blue baby runs in a row. It will not be a third, I can tell you that with authority right now. Eden with Eden's blessing, no less. It's like a 4 souls start. We got Abaddon, great stats by the way, but Abaddon, Strange Attractor, 3NBN, 2XT4. A little bit of I Found Pills action on top of that. Statistically, this run is unbelievable. Obviously, like some actual red hearts would be a nice addition, but really we have so little to be concerned about right now. 7 rate of fire, 6 damage is probably better than we are on the average like depths. So I got very few complaints here. Now we do have teleportation. How is teleportation? It might work. It might work. It would have worked. It's okay. It really depends, like, using it to teleport out of rooms we don't want to do while still getting the rewards is worth a lot, actually. And I truly believe that. Until we reach the point where we're going to be encountering those rooms on the regular, maybe we're not quite as excited about it. You know how we do. We're hoping for some error rooms, basically, is what it comes down to. We see item room, we see boss fight, then we can start to teleport. And it would be nice, if possible, to get 9 volts so we could use it once per room. But it's a little aggressive, I guess. Unlikely, perhaps. So we've been to our shop. We're pretty much free to go, I think. It's the end of this floor. I'm feeling good. And you know what? I'm back in an Isaac groove. And you got Slay the Spire to thank. For anybody who watches both series, I'm trapped in, like, basically the 3 hardest runs that are conceivable to do within reason in Slay the Spire. Ascension level 20. It's basically like, I mean, it's maybe not quite as hard as doing the ultra hard challenge every single day in Isaac, but it's close. And it's beating the crap out of me. It's demoralizing. Sometimes we come close and I start, whoops. You know, start the next run feeling optimistic, but oftentimes I'm crushed and demoralized, and essentially, like, I need, like, professional training to have any chance to make it through this. See ya. No error room, thank you. So Isaac has kind of become a little bit meditative for me again. It's the game in which I'm good. Still playing, I mean, I'm playing a bunch of Smash off camera. I'll level with you, we're getting, it's close, and I haven't played absolutely everything that's come out on Switch. Okay, obviously, I haven't even played Breath of the Wild yet. It's on the list, I promise. I haven't played Super Mario Odyssey yet. It's on the list, I promise. I would say that Smash is... I hate to say it, because it's going to ruffle some feathers. If we're using the antiquated quote-unquote game of the generation terminology, you know, the same way like people would say God of War was the game of the generation for the PlayStation 2 era, or Halo, you know, for the Xbox era. If we're in a Switch era, man, I screwed this one up something fierce. Then I think Smash could be that for me right now. That's a game, it's very rare for me to have a AAA game that I enjoy playing for like 2 months post-release. It's exceedingly rare. Empty Vessel, by the way, is incredible, as long as we can get a little bit more HP to sustain ourselves. But I wish I could have gotten Dark Bomb along with it. Anyway, in case it's not abundantly clear, not everybody feels the same way about Smash. Some people, cough cough, feel that it's, you know, a blight on the fighting game industry because it makes it possible for normies like me to be half decent. And you know what? They're not wrong. They are not wrong. Where was I going with this? I don't know. I was celebrating the existence of a video game that I like a great deal. Especially, here's the thing, you know, your boy NL, he's mechanics driven. I'm an individual who's motivated by game mechanics more so than narrative most of the time. So Smash is like the perfect game. People are like, how'd you feel about World of Light? I don't feel about it at all. What's the name of the main character from the film, the television show Mad Men? Cooper? Something Cooper, right? So, for Madman, hold on. Sterling Cooper. Draper. Don Draper. That's it. Okay. See, that could come up on Jeopardy. That would be like a $200 question. People would laugh at you if you missed. You know, the very famous Don Draper quote. Now, I do feel the need to point out Don Draper is kind of like the anti-hero of that series. So when, you know, Don Draper says, you know, I don't think about you at all, it's meant as a burn, but simultaneously, if you're like, yo, Don Draper owned that dude, you gotta reconcile the fact that he's kind of a terrible human being over the course of the show. Regardless, you know, we're not here to talk about AMC's modern classic television program, Mad Men, detailing the rise of the advertising industry of the 1960s. We're here to talk about video games. Where was I going with this? Anyway, Smash is exclusively mechanics-driven. As far as I'm concerned, World of Light doesn't interest me. I just like the fighting. I found pills. Okay. So it's a perfect game for me because the story is irrelevant. That's not to say I don't respect video games that have story. It's just they gotta work that much harder depending on what the mechanics, you know, get done. All I'm saying is, it's one of those things where it's like, you ever go the extra mile on a school assignment and then just be blown out? Like you worked really hard on something but under the false premise? You know, that's kind of like where I'm at with video games. It's like, if you've got no story but great mechanics, cool. If you've got great mechanics but your story is kind of nonsensical or actually takes away from the experience, that's a detriment to me. So regardless, you've heard this all before, I'm sure. We're suffering a little bit. We have a small problem, and it really is, it could be a large problem in a bit, but it's a small problem for now. Lusty Blood is fantastic. It does not solve our problem, though. We need to get more Spirit Hearts. The way that we are going to get more Spirit Hearts, you know, right now is by going to the shop. But long term, I don't want that. Long term, I want to be able to have an item that could do it for us. So, you know, Empty Vessel's doing... That was extremely lucky. Empty Vessel's doing great work for us on the invincibility front. Don't get me wrong, but we need something along the lines of Dark Bomb, which we said no to, or at least not now to, a little earlier, because we didn't have the HP required. Regardless, it's pretty much entirely a result of Strange Attractor. And I think I should just recognize, don't use Blue Baby's only friend, and you're going to be a lot better off as a result. We shouldn't lose this run. We shouldn't even be at risk of losing this run, given our incredible, you know, statistical advantage to begin with. Anyway. We're getting close to Spun. Don't really want to do that, but I'm happy to see the room regardless. Teleport, by the way, it has not been good for us, but it doesn't need to be incredible early for it to be worth holding. You know, we haven't really found anything that goes in its slot to begin with. That's what I always find when you, like, evaluate spacebar items. You're always like, well, if I got this, it'd be way better. Yeah, but, like, we haven't, you know? It's kind of like you're starving in the desert. Or, I don't know, you're thirsty or something. And, hold on. I'm just making sure I'm good on this room. You know, you're dying of thirst, and then somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, I got a gallon of water. Do you want some? And you're like, well, I'd prefer some LaCroix. LaCroix shower handle. Here's the thing. I like LaCroix. I like sparkling water in general. I'm the kind of guy, you know, when I go to a restaurant, it depends on the place, you know. If it's $2 signs and up on Yelp, I'll be like, they're like, do you want anything to drink? I'm like, do you have any sparkling water? I'll pay $3 for sparkling water. It doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. What I don't understand is how LaCroix became such an object or a brand to be dunked upon. And I'm willing to be explained to, by the way. But it seems like it's like a cross generations, demographics, communities, identities. You see jocks making fun of LaCroix. You see nerds making fun of LaCroix. LaCroix sounds like it's flavored by describing to water what it should taste like and then putting it in a can. I don't get it. First off, I don't want to go to bat for LaCroix, a corporation that, you know, has more money than I could even imagine to begin with. Moreover, I don't even buy it, mostly because I find it inconvenient to purchase liquid from the grocery store when perfectly clean tap water just comes out of the friggin' faucet for like half a cent per liter here. But regardless, you know, it kind of seems to me like LaCroix flavoring is fine unless you've blown out your taste buds on sodas made with a ton of sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Just saying. Secondarily, I don't understand, like when people, you know, there was a period where people made fun of like Starbucks. And I harken back to that out of a sense of irony. Well, a soy mocha, frappuccino, whatever, you know? I don't understand these things. My wife sent me here. I drink coffee, just black coffee with rusted nails in it. Which is ironically, I suppose, basically what my preference is for caffeine. But regardless, I'm just like, you know, you can let people have the caffeinated beverage of their choice. If you're a friend of mine and you want to get a cookies and cream frappuccino, it doesn't bother me. None of my business, quite frankly. Until you start making tweets later that are like, LaCroix tastes like you described to the Evian aquifer what a grapefruit looks like. Retweet top right, by the way. Buy me a coffee on Ko-fi.com if you like this joke I stole. Anyway, that's just my cynicism with Twitter in general. These guys do not get affected much by Strange Attractor, and I love it. Where was I headed here? But beyond, I didn't know, like, what are we dunking on? I know why we dunk on Nickelback. They suck, and a lot of their fans are easy to make fun of. Sorry to say it, but at least I recognize it. I don't understand when LaCroix got there. What demographic drinks LaCroix? I think if you ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. Some people are like hipsters. Some people are like soccer moms who want to feel fancy. Like, nobody knows. It's a cross-demographical thing. Here's my perspective on sparkling water. I will say sparkling water is an acquired taste. It has some bitter nature to it. If you don't want to acquire it, that's fine. You know, enjoying bitter foods is not a substitute for having a personality. It's fine, but disliking LaCroix is also not a substitute for having a personality. Nor is having your Myers-Briggs personality type in your Twitter bio, by the way. But we can talk about that at a later date. I don't know. It just my perspective is that, you know, and I'm not trying to get preachy. I drink diet soda from time to time. But you know, I think in general, people's health probably benefit if they still drink soda from getting off of that. And, you know, sparkling water, first, you know, couple weeks you're drinking it, it probably won't taste that good. You'll get over it. Why not just drink regular tap water? Also a totally valid option. Literally, you know, how I lived my life for like 10 years. Between like the ages 16 and 26. I essentially drank only black coffee and tap water. And one day I said, yeah, let's try this sparkling water. And I was like, you know what? It's pretty good on a hot summer's day. And it got me into it. I don't know. This is the thing. I'm going to give you a lesson, I think. And it's rich coming from me because the NLSS is kind of built around these petty arguments. When you're young, you knew it was going to come down to age at some point. You got time in your life to worry about banal nonsense. I ruined empty vessel. Is the impolite way to put it. You know, when I was a teenager, oh, you know, they think this is better than this. Oh, you think Pepsi Blue is better than Vanilla Coke? You're crazy, you know? When you get older, you just realize, you know, it's all durst in the wind, man. Who cares? Somebody wants to drink LaCroix. You know, the game dev thing we were at last night, we were having a conversation with some people, and I wanted a soda. So I said, hey, you guys want anything? And one of the people was like, yeah, I'll take a Stella Artois. And Kate was like, yeah, I'll take another, you know, of the beer that I was drinking. I went back to the fridge. There was no Stella Artois. Stella Artois. It tastes like you told a Belgian what a hop is. And there was no Stella Artois. And there was no beer that Kate was drinking. All that was left was, hey, y'all. Hard iced tea. And I came back and I said, hey, guys, the only thing left is hey, y'all. And where was I going with this? I guess the end of this conversation was meant to indicate, I don't care if you drink hey, y'all, it's all good, you know, as long as you're enjoying yourself, you know, as long as you're, you know, you're not a piece of garbage in general. Then we'll just use it as a dunking point, but regardless. Did you know, by the way, I'm transitioning off of this because we talked about snobbishness too much, and as a snob myself, I feel under attack by myself. It's a unique feeling. Did you know, and you possibly did, but for those of you who are not at the intersection of, you know, European and North American tastes, Stella Artois in North America is considered a premium beer. And a lot of people in North America that are listening are going to be like, yeah, yeah, of course it is. And a lot of people in Europe that are listening are going to be like, you what, mate? It's true. In North America, it carries a certain... The ads for Stella Artois, I don't know if they're like this in Europe. Because I understand in Europe, it's like a cheap... It's kind of... I don't know what word you would use to describe it. I might call it like a towny beer. You know, it's the kind of thing you drink when you're a little hard up. But in... Just terrible dodging. In North America, the ads for Stella Artois are literally like... you know, two super nice, very attractive young people like, I am a fool. They walk into a restaurant and they go like, two of your finest beers, please, barkeep. The barkeep pours it into the Stella Artois branded glass and then uses like a little knife to shave off the foam. There's Stella Artois, because you deserve it. So in North America, oh, absolutely. In North America, it has kind of this... this appeal to it as a beer for a sophisticated individual, which is not the same as its position in Europe, from what I understand. In North America, look, a lot of, and I say this as somebody who's had my fair share, especially pre-craft beer uprising. A lot of alcohol preference basically boiled down to marketing. You know, I'm a Lakeport man. I'm a Laker man. I'm a Bud drinker. I'm a Miller Lite drinker. They don't all taste the same, but they're mighty close. Close enough that if you ever have... It's like a Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke situation, or a Pepsi Coke situation for that matter, when you know... People go to a restaurant and they're like, I'll have a Coke. And is Pepsi okay? They're like, ugh. What? Shaking. What did you just say to me? Pepsi? No, thanks. I'll just have a bucket of toilet water. It's the same drink, okay? I'm not sorry. I'm not a connoisseur, I guess. But in North America, and I know this because I had a friend like this in university. As soon as something is imported, a certain subset of the population, they go wild for it. Just because it's imported. And the word import does not necessarily imply quality. It just means it's from elsewhere. The number of times, you know, there's even when I was in college, there were decent Canadian beers. I mean, that sounds snobby, but even from the perspective of somebody who was snobby about it, there were decent Canadian beers, and yet there would always be, like a friend of mine who fancied himself, I like the finer things in life without really understanding them, who would pay like an extra $2 a glass to get a Heineken, instead of something brewed like the next town over that's actually half decent. And I am being judgmental here, I'll admit. What do you got for me, D Infinity? D8. I mean, plus 6 damage is pretty solid. I can live with that. I will probably reroll. Everybody knows something like that. Or someone like that, I should say. Oh, what are you having? Oh, a driftwood fat tug? Yeah, it's all right, but it's from nearby. I'm having a Schlitz. For those who enjoy the finer things in life, imported from the United States of America. So I like this run right now. I can get down with this. I can still get down with that, honestly. Give me the speed upgrade while we're moving. But I wonder, there's got to be something like that in Europe as well. And I recognize Europe is not one, you know, conglomerated country, you know. So the question I was going to ask is, like, you know, is Budweiser considered, you know, like a premium import you'd pay extra for in Europe? I'm sure if you're in, like, the Czech Republic, you're like, no. But I'm like, if you're in England, maybe. I don't know. What I will say is that, you know, on the rare occasion that I am in a liquor store in Canada, the only people I see, and this is going to sound not racist, but it's going to sound racial, I guess, or cultural. The only people I see buying the beer called Molson Canadian are Irish people with, like, Irish accents. We got a huge, like, Irish population in Vancouver for whatever reason. And it's not like I'm like, these idiots are buying Molson Canadian. I'm more like, I guess the marketing, it does work both ways. That they're, like, in Canada, and they're like, you know what? Well, when in Canada, we should drink a Canadian beer like Molson Canadian. And I'm like, bro, if you talk to anybody in Vancouver, they're going to tell you to put that away. That's garbage. No offense, you know, again, you can like whatever you like, but it depends what you're looking for. The thing with Molson Canadian is that it's not good, and it's also not cheap. If it was good, or if it was terrible, but also aggressively cheap, I would be like, let it all hang out. The fact that it's relatively expensive and also bad is what makes it a poor choice. It's probably the same, like, I was trying, maybe it's not the same. It's like, well, when I'm in, you know, Iceland, oh, I'll take a Viking, please. But literally, there's like one brewery in the whole country. Anyway. There might be more than one brewery in the country, but there's not many. I actually like where we're at with this run right now. I think we got a real shot at greatness. I can get down with that. Yeah, let's get the heck out of town. We can Yara out of this. It's interesting, I guess, that, you know, certain things carry a notion of prestige just because they're exotic. They're from elsewhere, even if they're actually kind of terrible. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't think I got myself into trouble. I think I handled this in a reasonable situation. I'm sure there's the same thing. You're like, you know, the only people ordering Smithics in Ireland are Canadian tourists. That's probably true. It's the same thing, like, I'll tell you, at least in my experience, I've heard that in the UK, Strongbow has a reputation as, like, basically something, I don't want to call it a lower class drink, because I think that that's, you know, needless, what I mean is just basically classist. But that's the way I've heard it explained to me, is that, it, you know, Strongbow is a drink of, shall we say, the working class. In North America, that's not the case. There's two dedicated Strongbow demographics. One of which is, you know, 19 to 25-year-olds who are like, hey, beer tastes yucky. So they get, like, you know, alcoholic apple juice. Please keep in mind, before you get mad at me for saying this, it's coming from someone who made their own cider in university. That was way worse than Strongbow. Just unbelievably worse most of the time. Occasionally you got the magic batch you can never replicate. But, and then the other demographic is people who want to drink more when the fridge is out of beer. And all that's left is cider. No offense meant to the cider drinkers. Or even specifically the strongbow drinkers. But it was like a treat, you know, when I was in university. You'd be like, okay, the strongbow is a little pricey. I'll get a couple of those, and then we'll get the cheap stuff for after that. You really enjoy that first tall can of strongbow. It definitely has a reputation in North America. I wouldn't say for sophistication, but it doesn't have the same kind of reputation that it might in the United Kingdom. Hit me with that reroll. You know, with the D Infinity, I don't feel nearly as bad about picking up Mom's Knife and just seeing where we go here. No, I will not be fighting the Hush on this run. Thank you very much. What if there's like imports like that or exports like that elsewhere? I've said this many times. I'm going to take a very un-Canadian and snobby attitude. And I am from Vancouver, so... Well, I am living in Vancouver, so... It's apropos. Apropos. There you go. If you're going to use a snobby word, you better pronounce it correctly. Michael A.L. Fox is a nicer human being than I am. There's no doubt about it. I am envious of the fact that he finds it so easy to be polite. I find it to be a chore. And I'm being genuine when I say that. Sometimes, at least. Malf has established himself with an identity of he's the poutine maestro. I see people, they tweet him their poutines from Germany or Minnesota or wherever. And they say, Malf, rate my poutine. And he always is very respectful. Some of those poutines, I gotta be honest, they look like garbage. It's a uniquely Canadian standpoint, you know, from someone who's seen, you know, 1,000 poutines in his life. Hey, by the way, I'll order poutine sometimes in Canada, and it'll come out like garbage. So I'm not saying it's like, oh, wow, Germany, you really screwed this one up. I'm just going, you know, maybe that's an example of how it applies elsewhere, too. People are like, oh, poutine, there's like a Canadian influence on this menu. And then you try it, and you're like, oh, this is delicious. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's just melted Asiago. It's the same thing, I'm sure, here. Like, you know, sometimes there'll be places here that are like, you know, we've added a Wiener Schnitzel to the menu, and I eat it, and I'm like, oh, I love Austrian food. If you were actually, like, if you had lived in Austria, you'd probably look at it and be like, what is this slop? Sometimes ignorance is bliss, man. Maybe? I don't know. I'm looking for a non D10 or D20 or D8. I really just want to reroll my run. They will not allow me the service of rerolling my run. They keep hooking me up with these D10s that I... Oh, there's a D100. I'm just saying, okay? I don't think we got into prickly topics here. It's all about food and drink, but... you know, don't let yourself, unless you want to be, and I think there's a case for that too, don't let yourself be tricked into thinking just because something, it's like the Star Wars Shadows of the Empire principle. Just because something costs more and is from elsewhere doesn't necessarily mean it's better. No offense, Stella Artois. But give me a LaCroix any day of the week. And stop dunking on LaCroix. Leave LaCroix alone. Leave it alone. Please. Okay. Well, we're going to re-roll this whole run. But we're going to pick up some interesting items first. Okay, so, I mean, I think this is a great run. The re-roll gave us Leviathan, which is actually very nice. I did want an ability to fly. There's the fungi transformation. We still have the D4. The Emperor. Dude, I'm gonna, you know, don't shoot the messenger. I'm gonna finish this one off here. This is an incredible boon. Okay, I've learned I probably should not just stand still. We don't have the kind of defense that allows us to get through that. But still, it's pretty good. That's why I find the, you know, the weird controversy in the United States over the corn syrup in beer. I got a whole bevy of opinions on that. An in-bevy, if you will. A little brewery joke for you. One is, it doesn't matter whether you use corn syrup or not, because it all ferments into alcohol. The other one is, if you feel superior to anybody because you drink a beer made with corn or because you drink a beer made without corn, you should recognize that Bud Light and Miller Lite are both horrible. And that's fine. But, like, once you get into the arguments of, you know, which one makes you a superior imbiber, you know, you open yourself up to the criticism that none of them are good to begin with. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya.